Hello loves, what's up and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. We're gonna try some new makeup. Yes, what else is new? There's some new products I picked up at Sephora that I really was wanting to try, and I figured, you know what? Let's put these on together, and that way you know if you've had your eyes on these products whether or not these are right for you. So just so that you know, we're going to talk about the Natasha Denona Retro palette, which just as an FYI, I can already tell you I've used this several times and it's probably my favorite of all her palettes. Not only the quality, but the color story is absolutely right up my alley. Honestly, it just makes my eye color pop. It adds a beauty to my face. I know that sounds so vain, but this was a total winner for me. So if you're interested in that, then we're going to talk about that. Couple of products that are newer to the scene. Christian Dior has been coming out with like a ton of new stuff. So we're going to talk about and use the Dior Forever Cushion Powder. We're going to use one of the new highlights. We're going to use the Makeup by Mario Contour / Bronze Stick. We're going to use the new Beauty Blender Bounce Skin Tint, which is their newest foundation, quote unquote foundation. I think it's only been out for about a week or so. Let's put that on and see how that works. Just a lot of stuff to use, and with sales coming up, you kind of need to know how these work for people, right? So if you're interested in any of this, then just keep on watching. Okay, my friends, so let's start off with a Morphe blending brush. This is a very fluffy blending brush, and we're just going to place the shade Go-Go in the crease. Now, this is a beautiful pink shade. It's kind of on the lighter side, but it has enough pigment to where I could just throw this in the crease and go. It is one of those cream to powder formulas. I love this formula. I find that it is just as pigmented as if I was picking up kind of just a straight up powder, and this shade, again, just so romantic, so lovely. Now I'm going to go into the shade Amara, and I'm using a BH Cosmetics blending brush, and I'm going to place this kind of a little bit more on the inside of where I just placed that Go-Go shade. So that Go-Go shade, I went out onto the outer portion of the lid pretty far, almost to where I could place this in there to where Go-Go would kind of hug it. So almost like a little bit of a gradient effect, a little bit of, you know, just kind of different shades of pink going on, but almost to where this one looks plum. So this is not the deepest shade in the palette. Typically I would go the deepest on the outer portion of the lid. We're going to kind of do a reverse. But again, just kind of blending this out. I mean, it's up to you on what you want to do as far as blending. I blended for a while. Now I'm going to go in with the shade Groove on a smaller detail brush, and this is going to go on the inner portion of my lid. Again, I'm kind of doing a reverse where I would typically go lighter on the inner portion and then deeper on the outer, or do the deeper both inner and outer as a halo, and in this case it's going to be reversed. And I took the inspiration from one of Natasha Denona's looks, by the way. So going in with my Pat McGrath, I forget what it's called. It's basically the primer for your metallics and foils. I'm in essence trying to use this up. The Fenty Pro Filter is my favorite. So I'm going to go in using just my finger, and I'm going to go in with the shade Psychedelic. This is a beautiful light baby pink, and it is full of sparkle. It's absolutely stunning. It's almost kind of a hybrid between like a metallic shade and a topper, and I love it because it stands on its own. You don't have to layer it in order for it to pop. It pops on its own, but it is so pretty. It packs a punch, but it's yet delicate, feminine, just lovely. So with no added product on that blending brush, I'm just going to kind of blend that in to blend that matte basically into the psychedelic shade I just put down. This is kind of going to be a back and forth process. So also going in with that detailer brush with the deeper shade that I used earlier, I'm going to go back into the inner portion of my lid. I'm pretty much just wanting to erase the line that I see after having put down that sparkly shade. So again, I said back and forth, just going back in with my finger with some of that psychedelic shade and kind of layering over top where I lost a little bit of that from going back and blending. So now I'm going to go in with a liner brush and the shade Rebellion. I don't typically do I guess, eyeshadow liner with a brush because it's harder for me to get a wing, but I'm going to show you something. So I'm placing this down first because I do want a little bit of a burgundy vibe as it comes to my liner, but it's not the only shade I am going to use. So here in a second, we're going to go in with a deeper shade. Kind of basically putting this down as a base for it to peek through. And then using that same brush, I'm going into the shade Apart, which is kind of like a brown gray type of shade. And I'm going to place this over top of that Rebellion shade that I just put down, but not completely covering it. Like I'm letting that burgundy shade peek through just a little bit. So I'm trying to be as careful as I can be with making the wing, and then of course bringing it down to my lash line. I felt that just a regular black eyeliner, even a brown eyeliner, would probably look just a little too harsh. Black primarily. I think brown would have been okay. But these shades, these deeper shades, really lend themselves to a beautiful wing and tying everything together so nicely. I also should tell you it did take a few layers. You're obviously seeing that, but when it comes to a wing, if you really want it to stand out, you kind of got to layer. And then this trick I learned from Tati, take your fingernail and drag up, and it kind of extends that wing for you so it doesn't look so blocky and choppy from the brush. Now going in with an IT Cosmetics, it's a shader brush, I forget. I know it's not a liner brush. Smudger brush. I couldn't remember what I was talking about. So going back in with the shade Groove, and I'm going to place this on my lower lash line on the outer and inner portion, and I am going to leave that middle space blank, which if you've been with my channel for a long time, you know I don't typically do that. I typically just line the whole lower lash line, but I'm going to go ahead and take it a different way. I'm going to go ahead and then, well, hold on, I gotta take you first to my inner corner. So going in with that shade Groove, just connecting the inner corner to that lower lash line. Again, not something you would typically do on the inner corner. You usually brighten, but obviously not here. So going back in with the other side of that smudger brush and going in with the shade Psychedelic. This shade is harder to get onto a brush. You would probably have to wet it in order to pick up a good amount of product, but I didn't need much. So I dug in a little harder than I typically would, and I'm placing this on the lower, the middle part of my lower lash line, just to tie it all together from what I have on the lid. So next, I've obviously already done my lashes. Going in with some lower lash mascara. This look definitely calls for lower lash mascara, at least for me. Sometimes I like to leave it bare, but in this case, it's a little bit dramatic, yet perfectly lovely. Nothing like getting some good old mascara on your face that you have to wipe off. But we'll wipe it off and continue on with the face. All right, guys, so I'm going to switch over to Chatty Cathy style for the rest of this video because the eyes, I had already used the palette several times. I know I love it, but in a couple of these other products I've used once. This I have not used at all. So I'm kind of wanting to really just chat with you about how it's working for me. This is the Beauty Blender Bounce Skin Tint. I was super intrigued by this. I really liked the foundation at one time, and then at some point, I kind of stopped using it. But this says it's a next generation skin tint that actually stays put. This silky, breathable texture evens tone, nourishes, and hydrates for a soft, radiant finish that lasts. 12-hour breathable wear. That's a very high claim, but we'll see. Light, medium, buildable coverage, moisture boosting hyaluronic acid, which is great. Skin smoothing niacinamide. Says shake well before use. Apply with a damp beauty blender, layering as desired. I'm going to go against the grain. I'm not going to use a beauty blender. I know that's how it's directed, but for these types of skin tints, I like to use a brush. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to see how this works for us. It was $29, and then I had already wanted it, but the reason I took the plunge was because it may still be going on. Sephora has had 20% off all foundations. So literally this came to, like, with tax, 25 bucks. So shake it up, and we're gonna see, for reference, I picked up Light 5. I can't remember. I think that might have been the light, medium, neutral. Let's see what kind of dropper this comes with. It comes with a, like, okay, how are we gonna do this here without making a mess? Okay, listen, I know some of y'all gonna cringe about this, but it's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna place it on the high points of my face the way I've been doing. I feel like I don't like these kind of droppers. They don't really suck up a lot of product. And we're gonna see how this goes. I know, if you are super cringy about like germs and stuff like that, I do apologize. But honestly, I wouldn't think twice about doing this on my own anyways. I just try to sometimes be mindful of, you know, people that are like not, that it bothers them. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. So, all right. I think I'm going to need more than this. I don't know, maybe not. But I do feel like in using a beauty blender with a skin tint, you end up with like half the product because the beauty blender soaks up so much of it. So far, really liking how the brush works with this. Let's do this. This shade is also perfect for me if you are a light to light medium neutral skin shade, then skin tone. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. This is actually coming on really nicely. Let's see. I feel like might be, no, I was gonna say might be slightly yellow, but nah. It reminds me in tone, it's just a slightly lighter version of the Rare Serum Foundation, which I can already tell you, nothing will top that, honestly. That is my favorite foundation in general, but serum foundation as well. So this is actually covering quite nicely. I really thought I was gonna have to layer up a couple of times, and quite frankly, I don't think I'm gonna layer up at all. I do think I am going to go down just a bit on my neck, but this is actually a really good shade match. Okay, hold on. I feel like it's a good shade match. I'm trying to see if it's truly evening out my skin tone because I feel like I look kind of uneven up in here. I like that it's dewy, but of course these kind of skin tints, these serum skin tints are typically, and I don't know, maybe like, again, this is total first impression. This is the first time I use this. I mean, maybe going in with a beauty blender is the right thing to do. I don't know. I really do feel like I would get so much less coverage with a beauty blender, but I'm just gonna just drop a little bit onto my brush because I would like to do a little bit of my neck, just for purposes of keeping it all even. Okay, so listen, y'all. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I feel like this is one of those products where I don't know what to tell you about it, that I don't know that it's hitting the mark for me. I feel like I don't know that it's evening out my skin tone. I like the finish. I like that it is dewy. I like the coverage that it gives, but I just don't know that I feel like an evenness. And I don't have super uneven skin tone, a lot of redness, but I do have, like, when you know yourself best, you know? And so I can't tell. This might be one of those things that after a couple of uses, I'm like, this is the best thing ever. For right now, I'm not sure. I feel like I see a lot of pores. I don't think you're gonna be able to see it, but I do see a whole lot of, see, I feel like you can even see it here. I don't know. But anyways, so, okay, that's that. Now, I don't have a new concealer to use. I'm going to use the Ilia concealer, True Serum Concealer. I don't know, this may be a really bad idea to use serum upon serum, but honestly, I was looking for kind of a light coverage concealer for purposes of this foundation, and it's what I picked up. So in the meantime, while we wait for that to set just a bit, this is nothing new, but I finally got my hands on the Makeup by Mario cream bronzer. I had been waiting because I love, truly, I love his products, and I love the cream blush. So I knew, given that I love cream bronzer, that I wanted to try this one, but it's always sold out. And one of my stores had, I think, like 1 or 2 left in this. And I was like, all right, well, I was hoping for the light medium. So this is the light, and it's actually working just fine. I think the light medium is a little more cool, or a little cooler than what I would have liked anyways. It's funny because this is, I think, supposed to be neutral. And I find that it's a little on the warm side, at least for me. But anyways, so just gonna lay that down. I really like how it goes on. It's consistent with what I would have expected from his line and what I know from the cream blush. He just makes really awesome stuff, quite frankly. But so just layering this, we will clean that up. You guys know it gets muddy and messy for me there all the time, but it is nothing a little bit of a sweep of the foundation brush won't fix. So very much liking this. If you have been on the fence and you like cream bronzer, if you like his products, I definitely would go for it. Maybe during the sale or something. I know Friends and Family's coming up. I know in about a month and change, the big one is coming up, the big sale. So the only thing I don't, if this is like so typical of a cream product, is that you get like all these little hairs and fibers and stuff, but that is what it is. I don't go directly with it onto my face, but I do like this very, very much. So this is what I mean by cleaning this up. Just a quick little sweep here so that it's not so muddy. All right, let's go in and just blend out that concealer right quick and see how this plays with the skin tint we just put on. Looks like it's going on just fine, actually. Cool. Yep, no issues. Now, for reference, before I even went in, before I came on camera, I had put on a color corrector under my eyes. I've been on the struggle bus with dark under eye circles, so there's a lot of times where I will just do myself a favor and kind of give myself a boost. So that being said, there is, wow, there's that. That really layered on nicely, didn't have any issues. And again, that was serum on serum. So, you know, I don't know. I wasn't expecting greatness there, but yeah, let's keep it moving. Okay, so I was super excited to grab these next 2 products. And honestly, it hurt my heart to pay for them, but the Dior Forever Cushion Powder. Honestly, I'm sucked in by their packaging, first of all. But second of all, the fact that it said cushion powder, I was like, yeah, I kind of need that. So it says a precursor in longwear perfection, allied with skincare. Dior Forever has created cushion powder, the ultra fine and ultra fresh loose powder for longwear natural perfection at any time of day. Its fresh and silky texture sets makeup and gives the complexion a subtle velvety glow. With no powdery effect, it works in harmony with the skin tone to achieve an even, matte, and naturally vibrant complexion in any situation. It says, oh my goodness, there's so much description to this. Infused with water, the powder leaves a velvety finish on the complexion with no cakey effect, without emphasizing lines. Enriched with wild pansy extract, it provides softness and comfort. Dermatologically tested. I never get that word right. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what. I got the shade Light, even, and it's got this like pillowy. I really like this. It's got this little pillowy feel. So it's weird because usually in Dior, 020 Light is my is my shade. There's only 3 in these. I think it's like light, medium, and deep. So I'm hoping you can see this without me spilling it. That looks, so I've used this once, and this is more on the light medium / medium. It's deeper than what I would think to be a light. And I am gonna go use this on my under eyes. We're gonna use this on the whole face, really. And to be honest with you, the one time that I used it, I actually really, really liked it. But I will also tell you that it does slightly deepen, because of the tone, it does slightly deepen your complexion. So can you just see what happened right there? But it's okay, because a lot of times my foundations are actually just slightly too light anyways. So for me, it's not a deal breaker. I actually don't mind that it does that. But just be aware that if you are of a fairer skin tone than I am and you're going for the light, that this one will deepen up your complexion because of the tone. So I'm just gonna go ahead and place this all over. Now I'm not using like a bigger brush or anything. I'm just gonna go in with the same brush that I used to set my under eyes. But do you see how that literally just deepened that up real quick? And it's, again, I'm not using a fluffy brush, so it's concentrating a lot of the product in the area that I'm placing it. So I'm gonna have to be really good about blending it out. But the thing about this powder is that it blends out so easily, and the fact that it looks that much deeper than my skin tone and yet blends out so nicely, to me is a testament to the powder. It really does look very nice, and for me it takes a lot to give my Huda Easy Bake a run for its money, and that one is still my favorite, but this one I think runs a close second. It doesn't look, like the description said, it doesn't look powdery, it doesn't look cakey, it doesn't emphasize anything, it doesn't look dry and gross and crusty. This one just literally looks very flawless, very airbrushed, and this really did change up how that skin tint was looking, because this helped even all of that out. I'm actually a fan of the tone of this. I'm kind of glad it's a little bit deeper than what I would have expected, because it just helps give my skin a warmth and a healthy look to it, and I'm really a fan of how it makes my skin look. So definitely really beautiful. Okay, let's go in with a blush. I don't have a new blush, so we're gonna have to just use a regular blush that I already own, and then we'll go into the highlight. So for blush, I think we're gonna go ahead and use the Jaclyn palette. This is Rouge Affair, and I'm gonna go in with the shade Admirer and a Sephora, just regular blush brush. This is the number 55. I'm just going to dust this on. I'm not going to go in with powder bronzer. I feel like the cream bronzer and then the deeper shade of that setting powder was enough. I feel like I'm good. So just going to blend this in. This is looking just slightly pasty on me right now. Maybe I'll mix this. Let's mix it in with French Kiss, which is this one up here. I also just washed my makeup brushes, and I do find when they're like fresh clean, that they also don't pick up as much product as when they're a little bit more dirty. Probably also because there's product from the previous use, but that's probably why also, because these blushes usually pack a punch for me. This is one of my favorite blush formulas ever. Okay, so we've done that. Now let's go into something super exciting. So this next one is the Dior Forever Couture Luminizer. This is their newest line of highlighters. None of this stuff is cheap. So this was $58, and it hurt my heart to pay $58 for a setting powder. Just like I said, I was just kind of sucked in. And then this I think was $48. This also has the pillowy effect, but the difference between this one and the setting powder is that the setting powder was more of a cloth, and this is more of like a pleather, like that shiny type of faux leather or whatever. So it's also significantly thinner, obviously, than the setting powder. So I picked up the shade 01 Nude Glow. I was kind of on the fence about it because this one looked deeper than 04 Golden. I think it was Golden Glow, but I kind of just took a chance. And even opening it up, I was like, oh, this looks like it might cast a shadow. It might be a little bit deep. And it is deeper than what I would expect from Nude Glow. Again, kind of like the setting powder. But this does have a very different feel from the Backstage formula. That's more of like a gelée. And this does have more of a powdery feel. But I do very much like, just like the Backstage, that it kind of melts into the skin. This one does the same thing. And I feel like the longer it wears on your skin, the nicer it looks. So I'm just going to go in with my Anastasia A23 brush. And if you layer too much and you've got a skin tone like mine, then yes, it will start to look a little bit deep. So you just kind of have to be careful, but it's really, really lovely. It's so pretty. It just looks, it's like natural, but not. there's something about it that just gives it such a pretty look. I need to check out Golden Glow because that one, based on swatches, at least on the Sephora site, looked like it was a little bit lighter than this one, just a different tone. So I don't know, but I don't really see that it's casting a shadow, maybe slightly, but when I turn, it's very, very pretty. So I don't know. I think it's really nice. I think it just determines, and it's funny because when you first put it on, it kind of does look like a little powdery. And like I said, just give it a little bit of time and it kind of just settles in. I even want to go back in with my blush brush and just kind of diffuse that line there. And that is the unfortunate thing about a deeper highlight like this, is that you have more of the, if it's too light or too deep, then you have the opportunity for that line to be there and look a little bit harsh. But again, here in about 10 or 15 minutes, that'll kind of even out. Alrighty guys, so just as an FYI, I finished out the look off camera with these two lip products. So for reference, this is the Artist Couture Angel Baby lipstick, and I mixed in the Huda Beauty Deep Rose Lip Contour Lip Liner. Her lip liners are probably my favorites at this point. So I mixed these in together to get this look right here to kind of tie it in with the eyes. And that's it, you guys. That completes out our trying new makeup from Sephora. Definitely some great products there. And I hope you enjoyed it and found it maybe some sort of helpful if you've been curious about any one of these products. Okay, my friends, well, that brings us to the end of today's video. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with me for doing makeup together. Before I let you go, I just want to give you a very quick verse of the day to motivate you, encourage you, and to tell you that Jesus loves you so much. Today's comes from Hebrews 10:23, and it says, "Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful." It's my prayer that if you don't already know Jesus as your Lord and Savior, if you don't know the one who is always faithful and will never let you down, that he would make himself very real to you, that you would hear him speaking to your heart, that you would come to know the absolute wonderful person that he is. Thanks again for stopping by and spending time with me. I will see you in the next one, my friends. So until then, stay safe and stay well. Talk to you soon.